probably about 3 years ago, I bought this Loobman chain oiler, or one of the classic 500s I had. I never got around to fitting it, so I've been thinking lately that I might have a go at fitting it to the 650 Interceptor, so save the problem of getting out there and doing a lube when I think of it, and I think this may be a little bit easier to do. Not exactly sure how hard this would be to fit. Oil bottle, feed line, over here which parts it fits onto the swing arm, and this will be oil drop off point what drops onto the sprocket area of the chain. So in theory it doesn't sound like it'd be that hard to fit. Now take a look at side 1 to the instructions. There's just a diagram of the fitting. Then you get into the detail of how to go about fitting, and I tell you what, it's really confusing. It looks really difficult to fit, and I think after I read this a couple of times I thought to myself, why bother go to the trouble to fit it? But after a while I thought to myself, then figure it out if it's a more simple way to do it. At the very start you've got your oil bottle, which you'll attach somewhere on the frame in an upright position. So you've got your bottle, you've got your bracket to hold the bottle, or either one of them, plus your large tie clips to wrap around the frame. Right next to it you got your tube feed line, and once again you've got tie clips to attach that to. Then you swing down, and this curly bit of wire, which at first you wonder what the heck that is, and for a moment you think maybe it's to run oil down through this plastic area. Well, that's going to hold this bracket here, and that'll be your oil feed line into the sprocket area. And last but not least, you'll use one piece of the cable here, and it'll be cut and slid down into this part here, so the oil can drip down onto the chain itself. Okay, we'll see how this goes. First off, we have to use this large cable tie, put it in through here, bring it under, back over, back under, back in. Now this is a piece what we're going to attach to the swing arm of the bike. So that's roughly how it'll look, but it'll be on the inside of the swing arm. On the same unit we'll be taking a look at that wire hook right at the tip here. Thread it through. It'll sit like that. We'll bring our tube feed line in, and we'll slide it into, so we've got them all together like that. Then we'll use a small cable tie to clip it together, and that should fix that up. So that's really your oil feed, so I've just pushed it in tight. Now the other thing they recommend is, so we've got those two there, I'll cut those off now, just in case these arms come a little bit on the separated side. I'm going to loop another one of these around and lock it in there so it won't come undone, and I plan to do that to the other side too. Here's our support, which we'll attach to the swing arm like so. We've got our claw, it comes out onto the sprocket. Got a tube coming down which the oil feed comes in through this point here. It'll be fed down into this area here. It'll drip down, follow down along here on the tie clips, and just drip down from there. So we'll have a go at mounting this roughly on the swing arm. I can just remove that tubing at the moment. Bring that down from under there. Swing you here. Pop a ring. We'll just do it loose. This isn't set up correctly, but we'll see if we can come in and have a bit of a look at it. Okay guys, if you have a look at this one, I think I've got it pretty well set up close on the teeth now. Not sure if we can get a shot of it spinning, but we'll try. It's virtually touching the teeth as it goes around. That must be pretty close, I'd say. And I plan to run the tubing up over here and just into this point here, just in front of the fuel injection area. I'm thinking I'll mount the oil bottle something like there, maybe just somewhere there. I'll have to use this bracket here, so I'll have to cut this bracket like so and then strap it around the frame and then attach the bottle to that, then run the tube up to the unit there. I've got to put a hole, breather hole in the top of that one. Once you used to be able to get good matches, but they're pretty hard to get now. Well, I've got the hole in there, just don't know if it's big enough. Oh, that appears nice and neat. I've got my oil bottle up there with 10W40 engine oil in that to lube the chain. Now the bracket that was supplied with the Loobman kit, which could have sat in this position, was a fairly flimsy thing, and I'd rate it not much good at all. So I've ran the tubing from the unit down there, through the engine frame, down here, put the loop in it, and you can see the air hole. Let me see, you can see the air hole there. So we've got the air breather hole there. Then we swing down and through the frame you can see the unit there in the background. Down that way. I suppose the best idea would be to test it and run some oil down through it and see if it gets to the back of it. So we'll come up to here, press the button. Now I haven't used this before, so oh yeah, the oil's coming down. There we can see the oil. There she goes. There, the oil's on its way down. Okay, it's coming into play now. Working its way through. At the first tie clip, up over the first hill. We're heading towards the first hill. Past the air bubble. On its way down. Now we're heading for the final run. Okay, found another angle. There's the oil coming down now. That's final run. The oil down there, I'll spin the wheel now. So this was a perfectly dry chain. So I should be getting some oil on it shortly. There appears to be oil on the chain. It's clean oil, so it's pretty hard to actually tell. Okay guys, I've completed the install now. I've left it about half an hour and just come back and had a look. So everything's all right. At first you sort of wondering for sure if it's working okay, but seeing it was a nice, the chain was pretty clean on it, and it had fresh oil, and it's pretty hard to tell if any was getting back into it, because it only drops into sends a little bit down the line at a time. But when you look down here below, not so much there. That was because I had that high rise in the hose not at the right angle, and it dripped a little bit out of that part. So if you look here, the chain's directly above it. The oil came down onto that chain area, or the cog, then eventually ran down the cog onto that chain and just dropped down there onto the ground, or onto the slab there. You can still see oil in the line there, ready for the next press of the button. So it's ready to party in that direction. And like I mentioned, this chain was totally dry. And if you look now, you can tell now that the fingertips are wet with oil. I think I'd class this as a success.